So tell me how the year's going.
The year's gone great.
Okay.
We've had a good start to the school year. It's been exciting. Just the summer was a lot of planning, being my first full summer leading up to a school year. Just a lot of things we wanted to make sure we got updated, all the boring stuff that nobody wants to do, reading through all the manuals and all the things of that nature, but also making sure we put some solid things in place for our buildings, our principals, for our teachers. So we spent the summer trying to do as much of that as we can. I think we probably got about 90% to where we wanted to be, which is not bad. It's just it was so busy, and we'll be able to refine that even more and continue to just raise the bar of where we expect everything to be a little more each and every year.
So it was very important then for you to be able to have that summer to
Oh,
prepare.
very much so.
Yeah.
Going into last year, I think there was about a 2 or 3 week, if that, lead up to the start of the school year once I became the superintendent. And the planning's done at that point. There's not a lot of changes that can be made. And I'm somebody, I also try to reflect on my time in the classroom. And there's nothing worse than October or November and being told by somebody that you never see that there is this change coming to what's being done. And so that's something I vowed to never do to a teacher because I hated it when it was done to me. And so I want to make sure we've got all of our ducks in a row, and wherever we are on the first day of school, that's where we're going to be, because it's not fair to teachers. They've got enough on their plates managing classrooms every day and all the other expectations that come along with that, for us to be able making decisions and changing things mid-course. That's just not fair to them or to their students.
Kind of talk a little bit about the changes from the state that came down this year that impact the classroom.
So we had a few. The biggest one that got the most publicity is the Senate Bill 181, the traceable communication. We're kind of working on our messaging for that to get out to everybody. Some districts got that stuff out really, really early. We kind of wanted to let that play out a little bit. Didn't really feel like there was a big benefit to try to be super in front of that, just because there was more information that continued to come out. So we didn't want to have to send out multiple messages. So by the end of the week, we should be getting some information out to parents as it relates to that and what we're doing and how we're tackling that. And so, we understand the spirit and intent behind the law, and that's something we're fully in support of. And so it becomes something as a school, that we have to work to navigate and manage, but, that's something we'll handle and take care of.
So Senate Bill 181 is cell phones, essentially, right? Is that the?
Well, that one's more about traceable communication.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so and really that came from, the potential for adults to be texting students or communicating with students in a way that parents might not be aware of. So this kind of eliminates that, says no teacher or adult affiliated with the school. So this could be a coach, somebody that just volunteers their time but's affiliated with the school, that parents are going to know and kind of essentially be in the loop on any communication that is taking place.
And obviously this is just a societal thing, because that line is blurred.
It is.
And not, I don't mean that in a negative way. Just like, growing up, when school was over, that was it, and I wouldn't turn an assignment in until the next day when I'm physically there.
100%.
And now students could be emailing something at any time. They could be working on something at any time. So I guess it's kind of a way of trying to catch up, right? Just how times have changed in the last 15 years.
It is, and there's some elements of student safety built in with this, and unfortunately, there are people out there that use that to say and communicate with children in ways that they shouldn't, and so that's the intent behind the law that was put in place, was to try and prevent as much of that as possible. Now, we all know that people that tend to do those type of things are probably not going to follow the rules.
Right.
But that being said, it's trying to put some guardrails in place. And so some people have, fully see the value of it. Some people think some things need to be cleaned up, and that's stuff that, legislature they'll work out any amendments they want to make to that this upcoming year. So.
And then the cell phone policy also came down.
Correct. So
Okay.
that was a mandate from the state. Now, we already had something on the books, and so it was just a board policy that wasn't necessarily being fully enforced. Middle school's taken to that really, really well. High school, like anything else, there's going to be a few that want to figure it out. But, we're giving a little grace and making sure that we've notified the students and had multiple conversations with them about it. And they'll figure it out and, get to where they need to be.
So this is a little less heavy than that. That's some big top things that come down from Frankfurt and stuff like that. Tell me a little bit about the College and Career Lab.
We had this opportunity last year, a company called Paxton Patterson, and they've got these labs, and it's something that, it's not brand new. It's been around for a few years. There was an event taking place in Shelbyville, or Spencer County, I'm sorry, and I wasn't able to go, but Tony Jury, our Chief Academic Officer, came from Career and Tech Center, or the ATC down in Carrollton, and so I just asked him, hey, go check this out and let me know what you think, if this is something that would bring value to the school. And he came back and said, yeah, these things are great. It'd be awesome if we could do that. And then just kind of, turned to walk out of my office, and I was like, wait a minute, so are we going to do it? And he said, well, I've asked about this before, but, we've never pulled the trigger on it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we are now. I said, how do we go about doing this? And so, we get some funding for the state for things like this. And so that's where we were able to direct that this past year and get that installed. And it's going to give every kid from grades 5 through 8 the opportunity to explore every potential career pathway that they could go into if they went to the high school, if they went to iLead, if they went to JCTC, or they went to the ATC. So a lot of really, really good stuff that goes with that. As we get this built up, this is something that we obviously want to reach out to some of our local business community partners and get them to come in to see, because that's something as we think about into the future that we would like, the careers that specifically relate to their industries and things that they have locally. We'd love to be able to partner with them and have them come in and even if they wanted to brand a certain module or do anything related to that, have somebody that does that job come in and speak to the class, or potentially get to where we're sending those classes on tours.
So is that important at the middle school, just so they have more time to get into high school and start? Is that that's obviously a key pivotal part in there?
That's all this stems from last year in talking with our Mr. Butler, our high school principal, early in the year, and said, what's one of the biggest things you're fighting, and what do we need to do to be more successful? And his comment was, we have a lot of students that are just very apathetic. They're just here because they have to be, and we haven't given them a reason why. And so just that kind of got the wheels turning. Okay, well let's give them a reason why, but we can't wait till they get to high school. We've got to do it in middle school, so when they're here, they know what they can look forward to when they get to high school. But the more we can engage them in their learning, and they see the value of it, the more they're going to want to do it. And so, yeah, it's so important. It's like everything else. Stuff has been pushed down from the time that we were in school, lower and lower. Stuff that was done in college is now done in high school. Stuff that was done in high school was done in middle school. Middle school stuff's now done in elementary. For better or worse, that's the reality of what has happened. And so it's incumbent upon us to make sure that, we're engaging our students in such a way to just make them or just really help them know what's available to them.
That's really exciting, really exciting. Okay, so we'll wrap on this, but just a little bit about, and this is the more fun, the upcoming athletics. What's going on with the schools?
It's fall sports. It's so exciting.
Right.
we're trying. That's what we want, just to create that excitement. We want it to be a place that the community wants to gather on Friday nights. Is at the high school, at the football field. So we're just excited, and the quickest way to build some pride in what you're doing. Let's go win a few games. Let's find a couple of sports and let's be good. And we know it's a small school and things are going to come in cycles. There's some inevitability to that, but we're excited to get started. Football starts this Friday night. Dayton, I believe, is coming to town. They're doing a kind of like a Wildcat Pride Night, so just bringing a lot of the youth football programs and others in. So we're hoping for a big crowd this Friday night, a great kickoff to the football season, and just wish all of our teams the best as we kick off the school year.
So to wrap up, in the time you've been in the position, so it's about 9 months, 10 months?
Yeah, I think we're pushing just slightly over a year now.
Okay, so what is kind of in that 1 year one of the great takeaways? Like, what is something you've really enjoyed about the position? You wouldn't know until you're in it.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just the opportunity to have a positive impact on people. Years ago, whenever somebody asked me why I wanted to be a football coach, I said, because that's usually the largest group within a school. You get 80, 100 kids on a team and all the families that build out from that in a high school, and it's the first season of the year. So, I've always been of the belief that if you find a successful football team, you usually find a successful school, because that sets the tone and the culture for what everybody's going to do for the rest of the year. You take pride in winning on a football field. Usually you take pride in a classroom as well. I think there's some blending of that goes together. And then that kind of turned into administration. Well, what about being a principal? Oh, well, I guess it's not just a pocket of kids. I guess it's a whole building, and then from there that kind of built, well, what about a whole district, and just everybody? And then you think about the community members and the parents and the families and the people that have come before and the ones that have yet to come, and just trying to build and create something that everybody can be proud of and offer benefits to everyone, and just to educate students and give them a leg up on whatever it is they want to do when they walk out the doors. I walked into my first college class, and I got about halfway through the year and was like, this isn't as easy as high school was, and it's kind of a little kick in the teeth. No, I needed that. It was good. But, what can we do to maybe do even a little more for our students and make sure that, hey, when they go to, whether it be UK or Thomas More or U of L or any place, that, they're sitting in a class their freshman year and they're prepared for the rigor of the coursework. That's where we have to get to. What about if a kid's starting their first job and they're having to navigate a difficult boss or a hard situation? And yeah, we talked about this in high school. I've got some, preparation for these types of situations, or I've got, a community of people that I used to work with or was connected to that I can lean on to help me navigate this situation. These are the types of things that you don't think about when you're first getting into this. But once you do and you see every place, especially in a small town, that a school can go, how do we blend all that together and bring as many people together so that, again, we can ultimately look at supporting students and setting them up for success?
I have to say that we really enjoy working with everyone at the school. I mean, we're very fortunate. I mean, I've worked at other library systems, other communities and stuff like that, and it's just the relationship's been just so easy to work with the schools here.
I'm glad to hear that.
It's meaningful to us. Like,
well, good.
Because, we want that access, and it's kind of like we were talking a little bit before, like how things have changed. It's just like the coming into the library to study is not as much of a thing, but being involved in an outreach program or with the libraries at the school is really a big deal for us to make that connection. And then they come in, then they got that hook. Yeah. Kind of that same thing. It's kind of like your same thing with the lab. It's just we're going to show you what's available, and then someday, maybe 6 months, year, 2 years, who knows, you'll come in and we're here for you. It's
Yeah.
kind of one of those things where, and it's just great, and it's I don't know, so we're always very appreciative of it, and we're very. I mean, you all have some amazing media specialists over there that work.
Oh,
with,
they
so
do a fantastic job. They
it's
really,
good,
really
so.
do.
So appreciate. So anything else? Exactly.
Listen. I made some notes. I could talk forever, but we are really wanting. One of the things I talked to the principals about was just reaching out to parents and the community, and just making sure we're providing opportunities for people to be involved. So one thing that's going to be new this year that we're going to do is every 9 weeks, I'm going to send out a community dashboard, and it's going to have some of our academic testing data on it, and some of our attendance data, and some of these different things. But it's also going to have something on there that shows the number of opportunities that schools provided for parents to be able to come in and be involved, because we never, sometimes, I mean, hey, you want to put your kid on the bus, they go to school, they come home, and granted, people work. I mean, they don't have time to go in and do things. But maybe we can provide some opportunities for stuff that maybe if they have time in the evening, they want to come in and volunteer and do. Or some people work second shift, and they'll come in during the day and help do some things. So what are we doing to create opportunities to bring more parents into the buildings so that they can see a lot of the great things that are going on? We don't want to be a walled-off institution. We want to be as transparent as we can be within the realms of school safety,
Right.
And a lot of those other things that govern us. But we want to be partners with everyone in the community, because everybody's child is a lot of times the most important thing they have, and that's a very valuable resource that we want to make sure we're treating that with the utmost respect, and have parents' involvement in helping us along the way.